I recycle old materials from my sculptures, but I've never taken materials off building sites or out of skips. That is something that has been written about the work that just isn't true. So we have over on the right-hand side of the studio loads of materials from the experimental stage of making the sculptures, and then they are taken apart and the materials wait to be used again.
I would describe it as a figurative sculptural work that is building a form that really sort of disguises and hides one's identity. So for me, it's building like a second skin that hides gender, race, class. So therefore you're forced to look at the work without judgment. And then it's made out of just an array of materials, from buttons to wood to metal to plastic, all sort of found and discarded materials.
It always starts with material. Like the first cupboard I made from scrap wood. I saw scrap wood and I thought it was nice. And somebody who's not inspired by materials doesn't think this is nice. But I'm looking at materials, I think, oh, this is beautiful, this is beautiful. And everybody thought it is old, it's for a rabbit house outside, but not for domestic purposes. So for me, it was so normal to use this material because I love materials and I always try to be as efficient as possible with it and to do the things which cherish it. So all the designs are totally focused on materials. And this has been a major theme in the company. And the funny thing is now it becomes normal. You know, that you don't spoil materials because everybody more or less knows that we spoil too much, so you don't throw it away. But we never threw it away, and I always try to do things with materials which others or ourselves considered as leftovers.
So really what sort of drives a vision is an object. So like when I'm at the flea markets or thrift stores, which I frequent quite often, it may be one object that I may be completely in awe about, or something that has a pulse to it. And so that becomes the beginning of me thinking about using this sort of form as a central core. And I happened to be at a flea market once I was in New York, and there happened to be this man there that had thousands of buttons. And I was looking for thousands of buttons, and I thought, the amount of volume would be so expensive. And this man, his name is Sandy, had just bought a button factory.
Kunstnere arbejder også på en måde med rester, altså samfundets rester på en måde. Det er altid det område, der har potentiale. Jo, jeg er en tingfinder, og det er så galt, at hver gang der findes nogle sko, som er så dårligt fabrikeret, at de bliver ved med at tabe deres label. Og det er sådan en rød ting, der sidder nede under skoen i sålen. Og dem har jeg fundet igennem de sidste 10 år, så jeg tager hver gang sådan en der. Fordi jeg skal bruge dem til trapper. Når jeg har nok af dem, så bruger jeg dem til trappetrin. Og det vil så med andre ord sige, at verden den er pludselig utrolig stor.
It's not that there's anything specifically special about everyday materials, but I was initially drawn to them because they were easily accessible, inexpensive, and mass-produced. I work to a point that the material transcends itself, and it creates a gestalt of sorts. I'm generally drawn to materials that have a low profile in the sense that they don't have a very identifying color or marking on them. I'm initially drawn to translucent or light reflective materials. What happens with the light and the interaction between the material and the light is partially what activates the sculpture. I mean, they're all very activated by the movement of your body.
Det hele det handler om idéer, hvor præmissen har været helt fra begyndelsen af at hente genstande, objekter fra omverdenen, som allerede er fabrikeret, og tage dem og hente dem ind i min sammenhæng, og kunne bruge dem på miniatyrniveau. Den mimer noget andet, som man umiddelbart ikke til at starte med kan få øje på. Man har en oprindelse i en helt anden funktion. Men den forsvinder ligesom. Det bliver opløst. Og så er der selvfølgelig også ting, som allerede har en alder. Som har en vis udstråling, der er passende til det her poetiske univers. Fordi jeg er ude på at generere billeder, som jeg sagde før, som måske appellerer til at opholde sig længe i dem. Og det har materialer, der tit har noget alder på bagen. De udstråler en tilbageholdenhed og en værdi, som jeg synes er poetisk.
I work very much like a scientist or architect in the studio. I sort of clean everything up, isolate the material, and then perform experiments with it. It's a very playful act. I never make drawings or sketches. I feel very much as though the sculptures are a bit like drawings themselves. The pieces can expand and compress given the architectural particulars of each location. So they're very flexible and malleable in that way. I don't really think of them as decorative. I think that there's something magical that happens in the work that happens for me in the studio and then hopefully happens for the viewer the first time they see the work.
The piece is called a cairn at Tsunoshima, which is a stack of rocks. And I thought I assembled these foam forms in this way to mimic a stacking of stones to make a marker. So it's sort of like a cobblestone wall. The form of the sculpture is like a collage, but rather than using glue to piece the entire form together, I used wire and these straight pins. And the reason that I like to use the straight pins was so that there would be a sense of variability. I would guess that this piece took approximately 3 to 4 months to make. I had no particular plan for what the picture would look like in the end. Instead, it was a very gradual process of accumulation and alteration. Fortunately, the form itself is very flexible, so I can put anything on and take anything off through the entire process.
Det appellerer i den grad til drømmeverdenen, til erindring, og på en eller anden måde kan det aktivere en forestillingsevne, som er meget, meget stærk. Og i virkeligheden er det måske nok et ønske om at skabe billeder, der handler om stilhed og nærvær.
Our lives are they're constantly about losing, aren't they? And I don't mean loss in that theoretical, semiotic sense. I mean in a very literal sense, that the moment is always disappearing. So for myself, recovering those moments is about an approximation. It's about only getting it half right, if that makes any sense. It's not about exactness or perfection for me. It's about an approximation of something that's gone, both visually or sensually or whatever it might be. I'm not a perfectionist. I may be obsessive, but I'm definitely not a perfectionist.